Are you ready? Let's go. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Sports Dad. You already know what time it is. Thank you for joining and thank you for tuning in to this live session. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we do have a wonderful, wonderful show. Well, I don't want to call it a show, but for lack of better words, but we got a wonderful lineup um, planned for you guys today. And so we're gonna just jump right into it. But before we do, I thought it would be advantageous to just talk a little bit about what's been going on with everything that's going on in the world today. My thoughts and prayers to the family of Jacob Blake, the young man that was actually shot multiple times, and is now paralyzed and shackled to the bed, and definitely get tired those and it's something that has to be addressed, and it's good to see the athletic world coming together to take a stand, to try to improve things and to make things a little bit better. And so my thoughts and prayers are out to that family, and for the prior families as well that have been victim of gunned down by by law enforcement. We do understand the law enforcement has a job to do. They have a job to do, and it's very dangerous, in a sense. So All right, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Do apologize, but we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. No need to fear. We're back. Please. So, like I was saying, we definitely, we definitely um, feel for those families and whatnot, and you know, we know the police have a job to do. And so, with that being said, you know, to the African American community, let's continue to do what we do: peaceful protesting, and also to make not only protesting but making sure that we're making those changes. We're pushing to make those changes on Capitol Hill. And also to let us be caught doing the right thing, right? Let's not give them any ammo or whatnot. Let's just, you know, be caught doing the right thing. I wanted to play a small insert from the late Dick Gregory. He said something really profound, and I thought I thought it would be advantageous to share that, to share something like this here.
White women is dying now from heart stroke than black women. Okay. Because all at once the civil rights movement gave them laws to liberate them. You walk down the street and you get to the corner and they got that little indentation for wheelchairs. That came out the civil rights movement. And we didn't ask for it.
So in this situation, Dick Gregory is being interviewed.
To put for black only.
You know, and this guy drops a lot of knowledge. And I thought it would be
a woman couldn't fly a plane.
Awesome just to share this real quick.
A woman couldn't be a sky girl. A woman couldn't shine shoes at the airport. And then the civil rights movement came through, because before that, you could only be a stewardess, white only, a stewardess. You had to look like something out the center page of Playboy magazine. And because of our movement, you get on a plane now and see an old, ugly, short, fat white woman. Nobody went through the type of slavery that to cook their food. We Newton out. You know how stupid you got to be.
Let's see if we can find it.
He was a light-complected cop.
Here we go.
Married to a black woman, living in a black neighborhood. And you hear some black folks say, kill the white racist pig, police. You light complected. I lived in a neighborhood. They didn't qualify to see nothing but it. Huh? My aunt who's holding me, I see what, they never saw white black folks. That's what they scared. The ones they saw was the one they wanted them to see. The county you live in, ain't no black folks in that county. You think you want to prosecute them? With them ignorant white folks that got to vote for you every 4 years and you buying a house?
I encourage you to take a look at that and just pull it up on YouTube. But what he was essentially saying is that I thought it was pretty interesting. He said, if you want to reform a cop, give them something to lose, give them something to lose. So that's just a thought, I thought it was pretty interesting, that he mentioned that. But to get more of that, I suggest that you actually, find the video on YouTube and take a look at it. And we can talk a little bit about it more. All right. So what's happening? First of all, if you are new to the channel, all right, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and share the information. Also, too, if you are in here, I see we got a few people in here. Or if you're in here right now, make sure that you leave a comment, just to let us know that you're in the building. Another thing is that I wanted to talk about, which is pretty hot in the news right now, is it's a lot that's going on. MHSAA, the latest on that. It looks like there's some noise that's being made, in regards to that. So, basically Detroit Public School Community District wants to play fall sports, including football, and it is asking the Michigan High School Athletic Association to step up and make the decision. Dr. Nikolai, DPS superintendent, wrote a letter dated on Friday to MHSAA executive director Mark, imploring him to allow state high schools to play football this fall. I think it's UO maintains the MHSAA is not in control of the decision, not the decision to play other fall sports, including volleyball, girls swimming, and diving, and boys soccer. But UO told longtime Free Press columnist Mick McCade on Thursday that he wants the state to give better direction on what the MHSAA can permit. Now, it's also believed too. I think it's kind of crazy, but it's also believed. It looks like that what he was saying is that where is that? I can't really find it in the article. But what he was basically saying is that he felt that the MHSAA they basically renounced and gave up their right to actually make the decision and lean towards the government, and when they had the ball in their court to actually make the decision. And so they deferred, if you will. So it looks like, they're trying to get some justification going for it right now, and trying to, combat that and still try to have, football or whatnot. But we'll see. We don't know what will happen, but it's just a crazy time right now because COVID-19 changed the game. But until then, we're still looking forward to football in the spring. So let's take a little bit to check in with everybody who's in the building. Talk to me. Who's in the building? Talk to me. Oh, I got a guy that's coming on today, Coach Hassan. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy this guy. You're going to enjoy him. Really good friend. Wonderful guy. And we're going to have a real nice conversation with him today. So get your questions ready, but let me know who's in the building, y'all, who's here. I don't see anything in the comments. We can't have dry comments. And at the end of the day, the atmosphere of the live is predicated upon you, not me. It's you. So make sure that you guys are keeping the chat live, don't be scared to comment. No comment is a stupid comment. No question is a stupid question. We welcome it all today. All right. We're welcoming it all today. Let's see what's happening. We still are shooting for 500 subscribers. This week actually is probably one of the biggest weeks that I actually had in regards to subscription. And we are, man, look, I'm pumped up. I'm motivated. I'm pushing through. I'm pushing through. Let's see who we got. All right. Malachi. What up, though? What up, Malachi? Hey, Shanabana. She said, hey. All right. What up, Corey? All right. Yeah, I see you. All right. All right. Me mind the building. Hey, guys. All right. We're going to have a good time today, guys. So let's just jump right into it. Without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring him on right now. Coach Hassan, this guy, he's the basketball coach at Roosevelt High School. And, it's funny how, we cross paths or whatnot, but, got a lot of respect for this dude. Let's get him on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome this guy. Coach Hassan, what's good with you, man? What's good?
What's up, Cephas? How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm feeling real good. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Hey, you see the background I had to throw on for you, right? You see the basketball, outdoors.
It looks like the outdoor park we've been practicing and working out at.
It is. That's exactly what it is, and that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays because of COVID-19. Man, they doing a lot of outside stuff. But before we get into that, Coach, man, how you doing nowadays, man? What's happening?
I'm doing good, Mel. First off, thank you for having me. I appreciate you inviting me onto your show. Been enjoying watching some of your stuff that you've been putting up here. It's really informational and it's been good. So
Okay.
I've been good, man.
Thanks for
Can't
coming.
complain.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I can't complain, man. Everything's good, but we're just like everyone else, hoping to get back some normalcy. So everything's kind of been roller coaster without knowing what's coming next, and just with everything going on in the country right now, a little bit of uneasiness, and hoping for some change, hoping for some good to come out of all of this, and kind of just hanging in there, man, trying to make the most of the situation.
Right. Yes, sir. Aren't we all? So, so let's just dive right into it, man, because I know everybody's, they want to hear, but we're gonna just jump right into it. Tell me, how did you get into basketball? How did you get into basketball?
How I got into basketball? I mean, growing
Yeah.
up, just started playing at a really young age. Really enjoyed it, and had a lot of family members that were into the game, that played, that coached, and stuff like that, and kind of just loved it, man. It was my first love, and played. Always had aspirations to be a college basketball player. And then towards the end of my senior year, I actually signed to go ahead and play just at NAIA school in Detroit. And that first summer out of high school, I was helping out with AAU programs, helping out at my former high school, and I always had in my mind that I wanted to coach, and but I thought it would be after playing, but just kind of was like, okay, I mean, kind of fell in love with it quick. So just growing up, man, I've been around the game, just kind of always enjoyed it, always enjoyed being around it. And as a coach, when you not only love the game, but you see your ability to impact others through the game, it kind of motivates you, So I've been blessed, man. The game's been good to me so far, and you just got to keep giving back.
Yes, sir. Just to let you know too, like, I don't know if it's your connection or something, but you kind of go in and out just a little bit, just to let you know. But I'm assuming that that's going to get better as we progress. So talk about so how did you get into coaching? How did you get into coaching?
Just when I first graduated from high school, I was set to go to college, and I was still doing workouts at my high school with some of my former teammates, and kind of went from working out with them to putting them through the workouts, and just kind of just went from there. Man. Just ended up being an assistant on the freshman team my first year, and just kind of rolled with that, coach and all the youth. Did all that. Just kind of stayed involved in the game. Just never went away from it. And opportunity kind of just presented themselves, and just kind of went with the flow. It's been good.
Wow, man, that's it. And how long you been coaching at high school? How long you been coaching high school now?
My first job in high school, I was actually 18 years old.
Wow.
I was right out of high school, and I'm 25 right now. So I've actually coached 7 years in high school. 3 as the head coach at Roseville.
Wow, man. And you've had a lot of success being the head coach at Roseville. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. The first thing I'll say on that note is I've been surrounded by some great people. Like, I've had some really, really good players, and some top-notch assistant coaches, and like top-notch administration. And it's just like prime definition of can't accomplish anything by yourself. We've accomplished some great things, but it's been a complete team effort. And anybody knows really you're only as good as your players, you're only as good as your assistant coaches. So sometimes I get a little bit too much credit, but a lot of our success comes from a lot of the hard work that we all put in, and that we've kind of taken a lot of pride in growing our program and trying to compete at a high level and be recognized in the state as one of the best. So that's kind of where the drive comes from, and it's kind of been a nice collaboration.
And I know it feels good when you see that level of success from, especially from paying off from the work, from your players that they've been putting in, and also, from what you and your staff have been putting in too. But you guys do produce a great, product, on the floor, man. And like your team, they play really, really hard. And so, and not only that, I think your team, they get that energy from you. I think they get that energy from you. And I believe that the coach sets the tone. but they get that energy from you. And I've watched you coach, and which is what really originally caught my eye originally. And you coach with a lot of passion, like with a lot of passion and with a lot of energy, to the point where I say it in the teaser video that you get a lot of, criticism for that, too. Why do you think that is? And, and how are you handling that nowadays?
I mean, I think in terms of coaching with enthusiasm and a lot of fire and stuff like that, I think that comes with being young, because a lot of coaches that I look up to all tell me the same thing. We used to be when we were younger, and now we kind of, so I think that just comes with, just with time and with experience. But really, it's just a passion for the game. And in terms of like what you're saying, like with criticism, really, like when you have relationships with guys, you could coach them up. And anybody that's involved with athletics that gets that, we're gonna really criticize that because they know. You know what I'm saying? So it's like nobody knows how much time is spent with players and coaches and the types of bonds that are built. And that's just speaking about our program. That's been our motto from like day one. Like we have great relationships with each other, and we're able to, and that it basically because like we're here to get the most out of each other.
Right.
And I tell my one thing that we talk about all the time, like we're not going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear. And our guys have been bought into just, being told the truth and being coached up and being pushed to more. So, and again, that's part of just the whole, the whole buy-in, because you can come in and try to preach a certain style. And I think, I do take pride in you saying that we play really hard. That's one thing that, we like to notice when they watch us play, that we play hard, we play unselfish and stuff like that. And I feel like that just comes from, it comes from all of it. It's a daily thing where we're not just like we coach our guys up every day in practice, and we get after it. It gets intense at times, and it's not one of those things where like, we like our guys to speak up, and we like our guys to be vocal, and we like, it's just we're at the end of the day, like we're holding these guys accountable, because we're trying to produce great people that we're sending into the real world that are going to become professionals at whatever they decide to do. Basketball, it could be anything, but I tell them, even if we're talking about pick and roll defense, that relates to life, because now you got to communicate, you got to do it properly, you have to, just the little things, everything that we talk about from a basketball standpoint relates to life. So it's just that accountability standpoint, trying to do everything that you can to the best of your ability. And I feel like, through our players, through their families, and through just that, there's been a buy-in about the way we do things, and a trust and understanding that we want the best for these guys.
Right. And I'm glad you said that you want the best for the kids, because, I look at comments, I follow your Twitter, and I see people saying like, yeah, he really cares about the kids, and when I first saw you coach, I was kind of watching, like, because basketball is my sport too. And, that's what I like to do. And I like to develop, kids or whatever, especially, my own or whatnot. But when I saw you playing, when I saw you coaching, I was like, just watching, I'm like, let me look at this guy. But then I started really paying attention, and I discovered that you really know basketball. And, and that's what really caught my eye. The most. You really know basketball. You're pretty good with the X's and O's and stuff like that too. And so I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty good. And from what I've seen out of out of the MAC Red, which you play in, and I've watched a lot of coaches, but I think personally, like you're one of the best. You're one of the best. And so but I was a little taken back when I saw him, like, man, like, wow, once I got past, the energy and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, this guy can really coach. But a lot of people don't know from a coaching perspective, including referees, and along with parents, and spectators and whatnot. If you never played the game, and if then you really don't understand. But if you played the game and then you go from a player to a coach, there is a different energy that comes upon you when you're coaching. Do you agree to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's almost like it's almost like you're playing the game with them. And so,
Yeah.
and so that fire and that fire and that intensity that because I coach AAU too, and my wife told me like like dude, like you a different person when you're coaching, like kind of tone it down. But at the end of the day, it's like all of the emotions, because what can be done in the game, what players can do when they're not giving that to you, things like that. You have to be very strategic to pull that out.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's so you have to channel it, you have to control it too at times. So I will say that, you have to there's certain times like where when things aren't going well, you gotta kind of, be composed for your guys and let them know that everything's gonna be okay. How to make it okay.
Right.
You know?
Right. So talking about the energy and everything and the criticism last season, season was cut short, but last season though at Dakota, it was a lot of talk after that game or whatnot, and it was some and when you guys were at Dakota, it was a lot of just a lot of stuff that was going on, a lot of things that was going on. Can you share, just kind of share and just kind of talk us through like what was really transpiring?
Well, first thing I would say in terms of that game is we were really amped up for it. We were really excited. We've had one of the things on our bucket list of things to do is win a game in that gym. We actually haven't done it. Played Dakota 7 times. We played Dakota 7 times in the last 3 years, and we've never beat them on their court. But yeah, so it's always kind of exciting, and the student section is always out and ready when we go there. And credit to them, obviously. When you're trying to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that was the first thing when we came into the MAC Red. You look at it and you're like, well, the last 7 years, I think it was Dakota 5 or 6 MAC Red championships. So you got to kind of, go after the biggest dog in the room. So we kind of always, made it a little bit personal, not from a standpoint of or anything like that, but more of just we respect them. And it's just we respect every opponent, but it always just a little bit different when it's Dakota, because it always seems like in these past 3 years, every time we've played them, for the most part, the championship's been on the line, whether it's been a MAC Red championship or always the potential of seeing them in the playoffs. So, that day we came in and the last thing I'll say on that, Dakota had a heck of a ball club this year. They're probably a top 10 team in the state. I mean, when I tell you we played Dakota 7 times in the last 3 years, that means we played Ryan Rounds a ton of times too, obviously. How special he is. So it was never fun seeing him. So that day we were playing well and things were going good, and it was a 1 or 2 possession game throughout the first half. Things were going back and forth, and then one of our kids, some student section was saying some stuff. He kind of lost his cool a little bit, lost his composure, and then a couple technical fouls were assessed, and it was just a messy situation. I mean, it was one of those things that when you go home that night, wake up the next morning, like, man, we were down 33-29 at one point, and then we kind of lost our cool and we didn't handle the situation as best as we can. But we grew from it. I'll tell you, I could sit here right now and I could tell you different reasons why that wasn't our fault, or why it wasn't right, or why certain adults did things that day that they shouldn't have did or said. But I ain't even gonna go. I won't even go there, and I'll really, because this is honestly the way we handled it. We had a game coming up, so we kind of just flushed it, learned from it, and put it behind us. It's something that we didn't. We knew what was said, we knew what happened, and we knew exactly how that situation was going, and we just used it as a learning curve. And we came out a couple of days later and did the Big Reds from Chippewa Valley, and we scored, I think, about 78 points. So we were happy about that, and we just kept it rolling.
Right. So and I'm glad, and I think you guys, I'm glad you spoke to that, because like there was a lot of chatter about that, but things happen, man. In basketball,
Yeah.
Things happen. There's a lot of energy, tempers flare. Man, I can remember coaching AAU, and me and the coach, we chirping at each other. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like it happens, and we see it all the time. That is you got a bunch of guys out there, a lot of testosterone and everything. There's a lot that's going on, man.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up.
And I'll tell you,
go ahead.
To that game, the last time we were in that gym, Ryan hit a buzzer beater going to his left from the elbow to beat us. It's never good when we go there. So we're just waiting on the day we can leave that gym with a good result. So maybe soon, maybe.
Right. So it looks like we got some comments. So let's check in with the viewers real quick. One guy says, I look up to Coach. They call you Niz?
Yeah.
That's sweet. Coach Niz in the building. Coach Niz.
My man. Okay,
here's a question. Here's a question for you. Can we talk about, it says, can we talk to Coach about some of the challenges that come with building a program in the tough division with the non-traditional power and how he continues to stick to that process? It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question because I think about that. Well, to start off answering that, when first year at Roseville, we were in the MAC White, and when we got into the MAC Red White tournament towards the end of the year, we played 3 teams in the MAC Red, and we ended up beating them all, and we ended up beating Dakota, so we were like 4-0 against teams in the MAC Red. So, and I didn't know Macomb County basketball before I got the job at Roseville, so I didn't know that how it worked. I figured, hey, we're in the White, these are the teams we play, whatever. But then obviously when you go to it and you realize, hey, the Red's full of bigger schools and and all that. So at the end of our first year, it was a realignment year, and I forgot what school it was, but somebody wanted to drop down, so the opportunity to go up presented itself, and we jumped on it right away. Now, one of the early concerns that I had was maybe it'll be tougher for our lower level teams because some of those schools with 2,500, 3,000 kids, and us only having 1,200. I figured we'd always be okay on the varsity, but worried about the lower levels a little bit. But in our first 2 years in the Red, our freshman and JV teams have always been at the top and always basically won the majority of their MAC Red games. Some of the challenges that come with it is like, probably, I can't say this is facts, but I would assume at schools like Dakota or Chip or some of the bigger schools, there's probably 70 or 80 kids trying out for varsity basketball, 60, maybe 50 trying out for freshman JV. So some of the advantages that come with it, or disadvantages for us going against some of the bigger schools, it is what it is.
Right.
But we've always just looked at it like we do it with a chip on our shoulder. We know that these schools are 3 times our size. We know that in terms of maybe size or whatever, just all it is the size of the school, that we should probably be a little bit lower just in terms of size. We have everything that we need to be successful. But playing in the Red, I love it. We do it with a chip on our shoulder. We love playing against those bigger schools. We love beating those bigger schools, competing with them. It's just like, it's a situation where we feel like also too, another thing is we feel like it gets the most out of us. We feel like, we've had a lot of success in the playoffs the last 3 years. And this year, I think we would have potentially made a run if the season didn't get canceled.
Right.
But I credit the success later on in March to the fact that we play in the Red, we schedule tough non-conferences. But I'll tell you, I swear to God, some of these, they may have the stigma that they're football schools, but the kids are tough. Kids are tough. They're talented, and I'll tell you guys this: if we have a season, God willing, we do one of the top divisions around this year. I mean, it was going to be good. Chippewa's returning, I think 4 or 5, basically almost every starter. Lance Cruz North has some guys coming back. Stevenson's got their main pieces and some very talented pieces coming back. Grosse Pointe South, the new addition to our league, is very talented, and then I think we'll have a chance to be pretty good at the top. But really, the challenges that come to it are numbers. But I feel like personally, I like that challenge because it's just another reason to work that much harder. Pride ourselves on working really, really hard and developing our kids, and like Sifa said, just playing with a chip on our shoulder and competing at a high level. And part of that is again, just if you're going to try to be the best, you gotta have the opportunity. But I will, just to conclude the question, I will say this: even next year too, I think Mac White will be good too. So I think basketball in Macomb County on the up and up. You had East Point had a good year last year.
Right.
Lakeview, who we were going to play in the district championship, plays in one of the lower divisions, but they had a good year last year. There's some good teams, but ultimately, if we're allowed to be in the red, and that's where we're allowed to be, then shit, it's fun and it's competitive, and we love playing the big dogs, man. I'm telling you, it gets you ready for March, and it's just good.
Yeah.
They're
And
all well coached. They're all they're all, like I said, they're all disciplined. They're all tough. They'll come at you
yeah.
same way.
Yeah, and that's a great response to it, and I agree with you 100% that Macomb County basketball is it's on a rise, and it ever since when we first moved into the area, I believe the Macomb County they had Jermaine Jackson,
Yep.
Thomas Kithier, and things like that, but it's getting better, and I played in the PSL in Detroit, and it's super competitive, but it's on the rise, like you said. Another thing, Corey C too, I think that was a great question, Corey. And just to add to that, I think also too, what I really like about Coach is that he really works these guys. So here's a video. Here's a video from from his Facebook. Since we've been quarantined, Coach, talk a little bit about how you've been able to keep your guys engaged and still putting them through workouts.
Yeah.
This is your basketball team.
Yep. So one thing we've always again taken pride of, and for me, I learned the process from my high school coach. I played for a really good high school coach who was young when he coached me, and he was big on player development year round and getting in the gym and getting our kids better. So that's kind of the motto that I brought with me to Roseville. And before I even talk about the quarantine, real quick, I'll tell you guys this: in a typical year, we like last year we lost in the Elite Eight, and like a week later we got started getting back in the gym doing our 4-man workouts. So we take a couple weeks off at the end of the season every year. We start getting in the weight room in like April. We start having open gyms. We start doing skill sessions, working with guys in the morning. May, June, we start playing games. July, the kids are playing AAU. August, September, October, we're locked and loaded. All of our kids, we love it. We love it when our kids play fall sports and play football and do all those things. And we have football team had about 90 to 100 kids out there for their workouts too. So we have a couple of guys who play football as well, and love when they do that. But if they don't, we make sure that they're staying active, and we make sure that they're working and they're getting the work. And so obviously we weren't able to play summer league and weren't able to see our guys for 5 or 6 months because it wasn't a normal year. So when the governor and the MHSA allowed us to start those outdoor workouts, I can't remember the exact date, but it was when school finished in mid to late June. What we started doing the first 3 weeks, we spent it out on the football field, and we just focused on, because we haven't seen the kids in 6 months, we just focused on getting back in shape,
Right.
getting quicker, getting your wind back, getting your legs back. We got back on the basketball court a little bit, did some ball handling, just work on some stuff just to get our feet wet a little bit. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks of doing all that, we started transitioning through. We did the last 7 or 8 weeks. We've done a strength and conditioning program. We've done our weight room. We have a field of grass right outside of our weight room. So every day, our staff and I, we go in the weight room, we pull everything out. Kids come, we get a nice weightlifting session in. We've been lifting. The kids do what they do. Kids go to basketball city. Kids, kids stay active. They go do what they do. But we've really, really just felt like without being allowed to be in the gym, or compete against other teams this summer, the best thing to focus on was weightlifting and focusing on bodies. And guys that put on 5 to 10 pounds of muscle this summer, we weighed them, we were tracking them, and it was impressive, man. I mean, our attendance rate in our workouts was 95, 100% at all times. And guys were out there. They were getting better. No complaints ever. It was almost like it was their really. I mean, guys want to get out of the house. They've been locked up for 6 months with nothing to do except play Xbox and school online. So it's like they want to get out and do something. So they've been excited about it and got a good vibe. We put the music on out there. It's just outdoors under the sun. We do some conditioning. We're running around the perimeter of the school and just staying busy, man. And most importantly, all that. One thing that I will say, you know, is all the workouts. We've had 4 workouts a week, you know, all that stuff. And every day we've talked about life. Every day we've talked about what's going on in the world. You know, every day we've talked about valuable lessons. Every day there's been a different topic. I mean, we would do the group, you know, just every day we go around the circle and just talk about different things, what motivates, you know. So we really, and now one thing we focus on is that now with everything going on in the world and how many stuff it is, and just put a bigger point of emphasis. Really just we sat down during workouts for 15, 20 minutes and just talked and, you know, and tried to educate each other, because you could learn from the kids just as much as you can teach them, you know. So I've really loved it, man. It's been good. And it's one of those things where you know, I kind of talked to my guys about it too. It's just unprecedented times. So like everybody worked hard. Everybody who wants to be good works hard. But to try to separate ourselves, especially during a time like this, we just got to work smart. Just work
Right.
smart. We're already working hard. Anybody who's winning, anybody who's achieving is working hard. So let's take it up a notch and just continue to work smart and make the most out of the situation. And when it's time to compete, hey, and the work will prove itself one way or the other. But let's just work hard and go from there right now, because there's
Yeah.
so much uncertainty. We don't even know what's next, you know?
Right. Exactly. And well, just to check in with the people that's tuning in real quick. If you are new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, guys. Share the information. If you're new in the chat, in the live chat, please, you know, leave a comment, ask a question. If you want to ask a question, please do so or whatnot. Just let me know you're there and we'll acknowledge you. Coach, another thing is that too, I noticed that you talking about the success and everything of your teams and stuff like that. I noticed that just let me circle back in regards to the workouts. I know, you know, there are coaches, there are some coaches, basketball coaches, that are not taking advantage of the situation right now and not putting, you know, their kids through workouts and things like that. So kudos to you for coming up and trying to be creative during this time and keeping your kids engaged to make sure that the process of development continues in spite of. But in regards to your and to the success of your team, I'm gonna just be honest, and I'm just gonna come straight down the street. The majority of the majority of your players, and just so you know, you're still going in and out a little bit sometime, you know, with your audio, but the majority of your players are African American, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so I noticed that you have a great relationship with your players, and you know how to address you know how to address the players. You know how to reach them. You know, regardless if they're from, you know, 2-parent home or 1-parent home, you know how to reach them. Why is that important?
It's very important. I think you know, sports. The greatest thing about sports is it knows no boundaries, no color, no, you know, anything. I mean, we're people at the end of the day, and if everyone approached life like that, we might have a better world. That's just the powerful thing about sports. But in terms of the relationships with the kids, you know, one thing is, you know, just being young was early on was easy to relate with kids because you kind of just had gone through it a few years ago. But it's huge, man. You got to get to know them. They're not just an exit. They're not just the old joke I always say is it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. Not just a scribble on the clipboard, or a kid that's going through a poem, to a kid that's, you know, they're human beings. So getting to know them, and one thing that now that I really talk about our program a lot, and I learned this from football coach Giannoni from Anchor Bay. He says,
Okay.
you don't truly know someone until you know their story. So until you truly get to know someone, you know, until you get to know somebody's story, you really truly don't really know them. So getting to know their story, getting to know what makes them tick, getting to know what they've gone through, getting to know their backgrounds and all that stuff, and just building that. You know, we've had some players, you know, not only in Roseville. I've been coaching AAU for 6 or 7 years. We've had some kids that have gone through some tough things in their life, and they've come from some tough situations, and you gotta know them. You gotta know them. And part of, like, we're just to go back a little bit earlier, we were talking about, you know, coaching with energy and being tough on guys and stuff like that. You can't coach every single kid the same way. If you've watched the Roseville game, you've seen, you know, some guys get it a little bit more. And
Right.
sometimes it's just you know, it's as a coach having a relationship with them and knowing who you could, you know, deal with in what certain way, because it's ultimately it's about taking them to their the top of their potential. So you can't really do that if you don't get to know somebody. And then if you want to make it about basketball, you could talk about, if your players don't know you love them. First of all, one, they don't care what you know until
Right.
they know that you care. And
Right.
two, you're a coach. If you're a coach and you're planning on having success and winning ball games, your players got to be able to go through a brick wall for your coaching staff, and they ain't going to do that if they don't know that it's genuine love and it's togetherness.
Right. Absolutely. And um, as I do this channel. I thought that was super important, especially in the day like today. But I started this channel because I wanted people to know about recruiting and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you are also an AAU coach with one of the most powerful AAU organizations probably in the United States. Um, and which is the family. Um,
Yep.
what do you know about recruiting, Coach, and how does it work from a basketball perspective?
Before I hit talk about the AAU real quick, you had that comment from Denny Borzy on there. I just wanted to shout out Denny Borzy. Denny Borzy is assistant principal now. Denny actually was the athletic director when I got hired in 3 years ago or
Oh
4 years
wow!
ago now. And Denny, one thing, not only did he believe in me as a young coach to get the job done, but he also has been a good mentor to me since the beginning. Him, as well as all the administration and the teachers and stuff like that at Roseville, all kind
Yeah,
of took me under the wing, kind of, guided me and stuff like that. So I appreciate, Danny and the rest of the crew for what they do for me and my kids.
absolutely. And and that was wonderful compliment. And as we can see according to the compliments that you've been getting in the chat, you got a lot of support, my friend. But speaking of AAU, Corey C, he asked a question like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what's your opinion on AAU? How does it really work, bro? I mean, you work. I mean, you're coaching for one of the powerhouses right now in AAU basketball, and we know there's a lot of recruiting that takes place. How does it work?
So the first thing I'll say about the AAU thing is the first misjudgment of AAU is they say, "Oh, it's bad basketball." Oh, people give it a bad rap for that. Now, the first thing I'll say to that is I've been to plenty of high school games over the years, and I've seen some pretty sometimes bad basketball high school games. So one is you'll find bad basketball everywhere you go. Just depends on who you're watching and whatever. And it has nothing to do with talent. It's just about how the game is being played. So the game is good sometimes, the game is bad sometimes. But in terms of AAU, really what AAU does is it gives players a platform and an opportunity to not only travel but play in different venues and different places, and seen by people that might not be able to see them, like during their high school season where college coaches are coaching their own season and can't really get out. Whether it's there's 3 or 4 weeks every summer where the college coaches, Division 1
Right,
college coaches to watch. Those are
right,
called the live periods that take place in the spring and in July. But throughout the course of the summer, so those weekends are for the Division 1 schools. But throughout the course of the summer, JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, NCCAA, all those schools, they can recruit year round, April, May, whatever, all through the summer. So that is it's big for exposure on all levels. So whether it's a Power 5 blue chip who has 10 Division 1 offers, who plays for a team like Family, or whether it's a kid who is a good high school player and wants to potentially play at the next level, wants to be seen and is playing for a local club who gets to Indiana to play a tournament, he's going to have an opportunity to be seen. If you're good enough and you can play the game and you play the game the right way and you carry yourself the right way, you're gonna, someone's gonna find you, and especially back in the day, it was kind of just word of mouth and stuff like that. It still is a lot of word of mouth, but also today with a lot of the technology, you play a game, you play 3 games on a Saturday, and 5 hours later, you have a 2-minute highlight tape that's on Twitter that's being seen by thousands of people, and it's kind of giving you your exposure. So
right,
at AAU with
right.
recruiting, it's huge. Playing for the right program, making sure you're playing for coaches and programs who get kids to the next level, but also play the right way and develop you with the time that you spend with them. And in AAU, like I was saying, from a kid who has potential to go play Division III to a Power 5 kid, it's also the opportunity to improve as a player during your summer, during the spring and the summer. It's an opportunity to play more basketball. And I'm a big fan of AAU. I'm having withdrawals. I haven't coached any AAU tournaments this year
Right.
because, and I think it was the right decision. The family decided they weren't going to play any tournaments this year because of COVID. I'm not
Right.
saying that people who played in tournaments are wrong, but I respect our organization not playing, and I think it was the right decision.
Right.
But AAU is great, man. AAU is great if you do it the right way and you're with the right people, the camaraderie that comes with it, the relationships that come out of it, the experiences of it. I'll tell you this. Here's one thing about AAU that's very underrated. I've been on an airplane with players kids that this was their first time being on an airplane, and they were doing it to go play in an AAU tournament. And they would never,
Wow.
15, 16, 17 years old, you've never had it's life changing sometimes. They
Yeah.
go out there, they may see some things, come back home and be a little bit more hungry, a little bit more motivated. So I think when done the right way, it's and the last thing I'll say about AAU, I'm a big believer that in terms of becoming a better basketball player, you not only have to play, but you have to train. But you can't only train and you can't only play. So you got to do both. So that's
Right.
big in terms of, like I was saying, about development. A kid can play 15, 20 games in the spring while he's working on his game, come back and work with his, play with his high school team, and then go play a couple more tournaments in July, all within periods of you being in the gym, being better, and then going out there and seeing, how you fare. So I love it. I think it's great. And I'll tell you this too: good coach or bad coach, every AAU coach that I know is volunteering their time. So that's another thing that people really put their time into this thing and to really trying to help these kids. So a lot of the hate, a lot of the criticism that comes with it, it is what it is. It's
Right.
part of everything that we do. But
Yeah.
I'm a fan of AAU because of all the positives. And does it have negatives? Yes, but doesn't everything else have negatives? Everything has negatives to it.
Right. Right. You're absolutely right. And, I think that's a great response. I'm a fan of AU too as well, but it's like, it's like a love and hate thing for me. Anything that's going out anything additional that's going out outside of your regular season, because, I got 3 boys and, I've dealt with injuries with all 3 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can I say something before you keep? Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I coached against all 3 of his sons, and all 3 of them on the scouting report it says pit bull, because all of his sons are just tough and they're physical, but they're also great kids, man. They're all 3 of them are just outstanding young men. That speaks volumes about Cephas as a father.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that. But I deal with injuries with all 3 of my kids, and the thing is that, like, if they're gonna get injured, I would rather them getting injured in the regular season or whatnot too, because a lot of injuries happen because any doctor would tell you that the body is not made to sustain what we put it through. Our
Right.
bodies weren't created for that. So, like, anything additional, like when you don't get your time, your body that time to rest and things like that, then you start becoming injury prone. And, there's a lot of games that's being played in AU. Sometimes you playing 4 games in one day, and things like that. And even, from a football perspective too, that's the only thing that I don't really like about those type of things. But other than that, I think it's great. I think it's great for development. I think it's great for competition because you're playing against, the cream of the crop all the time. So yeah.
And the experience is true. Like, look, Marco Max, he says, I look up to Coach Niz. I look up to him. The last 5-6 weeks, he's been taking Macomb County kids out there to Indiana every week just to play. To have experiences like that's big time stuff, and it's huge, man. It's huge. It helps these kids get looked at, especially now with the shutdown and stuff like that. It's important. It's not important to go out and play, but it's important to. I'm not talking about like during COVID. I'm just saying in general, man. If you have a kid that's got aspirations for playing at the next level, you've got to get him seen.
Absolutely. Listen, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, please, guys. It'll be awesome. We do interviews like this all the time. I'm gonna have Coach Hassan back as well. We're gonna in a different form or whatnot. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, Coach. last thing I want to get your your opinion on, or your feedback on, is I did an interview with Rashad Phillips. Not sure if you know who he is, and not sure if you got a
Oh
chance.
yeah, of course.
Dude, and he was dropping some major nuggets.
Sometimes you win.
And I want to get your feedback on this, on his comment regarding coaches. Check it out.
Okay.
As a parent, if I have a coach that's not allowing my child to be who they are, you have to have a conversation with the coach. And for me, I would only ask the coach to give my child a fair opportunity. That's it. That's it. Like, I've never asked nobody to give me anything. I'm not going to ask you to give my kid anything. All I'm going to tell you is give my kid the fair opportunity like everybody else. And if you do that, my kid will respond. And if he doesn't, or if she doesn't, sit her down. Right? That's just kind of how I look at it. So it's unfortunate because a lot of coaches
here it is right here
have these power ego trips where they want to direct everything. The game of basketball is about improvisation. It's about making plays on the fly. It's about expressing yourself. Basketball is an expressive sport. So coaches that don't allow you to be expressive, they don't need to be coaches.
Woo! Woo! Talk to me.
Fire.
Yes, sir.
I agree. I agree with everything he was saying. Now, the first thing I'll touch on is soon in terms of he was saying about the power trip that coaches may be on because of whatever. I tell my guys early on, like, I'm not here to make any friends. I have enough friends. I'm not trying to make any friends in this gym. Playing time and what you earn. It's based on, in our program, two things: reliability and production. How reliable are you? Can we rely on you to represent our program the right way? Can we rely on you to be the best version of yourself? Because, like he said, now you can't try to change, to be the best version of yourself. We'll rely on you to plan on time. Can rely on you to do things the right way, and production.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's about production. So I'm with him 100%. Like I personally would rather not coach than coach to be like influenced because this guy's got to play because of blah 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 blah. No, man, this guy's gonna play because he's better and he works harder, and that's just there's no there shouldn't ever be any strings attached or anything like that. That's just the bottom line. And as a young coach, you learn because you run into some situations that you've never seen before. But I think if you try to handle everything without any if you're trying to make everybody happy, you probably shouldn't coach. Probably sell ice cream. So you got to kind of make some tough decisions sometimes, but also that you have to keep it real with everybody, kind of like what I was saying earlier, and it goes kind of to what Rashad was saying, like you can't treat every kid the same, but you have to treat every kid fairly. You have to give them a shot. You have to give them a chance to accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be an "I told you so" moment. If they don't accomplish what they want to accomplish, it's going to be something where, like, okay, let's look at this thing. Why you're the 11th man right now? You're playing X minutes, and you're trying to be in the mix and rotation, but you were late to practice, or you don't say the extra shot. Like, it's just or you kind of sulk on defense. I'm not just giving you examples of things then you can really look at it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be based on it shouldn't be based on who you are or this or that. It should be based on what you bring to the table and how to the program, to your team.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I like I like what you said, in regards to players earning it, because a lot of times too, you got the parents out there thinking like, oh, my kid is this, my kid's that, and but and they may not be getting the playing time that they want for their kid or that their kid want, but they doing a lot of Yeah.
It's not always the coach's fault. It's not always the player's fault. It's every situation that arises is kind of independent of itself. You know what I mean? Like sometimes if a kid's not getting his fair shake, it's maybe maybe there is some hidden agenda going on. But also sometimes there's a kid who's not playing, and then the coach might get like, oh, the coach is playing favorites. Well, coaches kind of do play favorites. Coaches play favorites to I think coaches play favorites to who's going to produce and who's going to be reliable for you. You know, like
Right.
you're going to be when you're lacing them up and hey man, it's Tuesday night and Dakota's 8-0 in the MAC Red and you're 7-1 and you're about to play in a gym with a couple thousand people and the MAC Red championship on the line. You gotta hope your best players in class doing things the right way that day. It's ready to suit up that night. So, like I
Right.
said, man, reliability and production are two big things that relate directly to life that can be taught through basketball, man. Nobody, the power of being on time, man, the power of coming early and representing yourself. And like he said, man, you can't really force anybody to you gotta let people express themselves. Like, gotta let people be themselves. So that's big, a big thing for me, in all my teams. And then hard work, man. Hard work comes play. Now, I'll tell you one thing about like this any team that I coach, any coaching staff that I'm like we make decisions like that, man. We're coaches, we're trying to win, but at the
Right.
same time, you can't and I never felt like I should ever go against any of our rules or anything that we do to try to win a game. Like
Right.
a loss will only last a certain amount of time, but a lesson will last forever. And,
Wow.
in terms of so it's I'm not saying bench your players or do this or do that. But one
Yeah.
thing, and I credit my assistant coaches for this. One thing that we've taken on our program is we won't kick a kid off the team ever. Ever. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to see that kid wearing a Roseville jersey playing. Never kick a kid off the team. And we're talking about, obviously somebody who's had some issues or whatever, got in trouble. We're going to try to make the most of it. Now, hey, again, it doesn't mean you're going to be on the court playing, but we're going to work with you. We're going to work with you. And we're going to try to get you right.
Wow. So you never, it's a situation where you never give up on them. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I was a kid right now, I wouldn't want a coach to give up on me. If I was a parent right now, I wouldn't want a coach to give up on my kid. I'm not saying play him. I'm not saying let him wear that jersey. I'm not saying let him hear his name called out by Cephas Harris at Chippewa Valley when we're playing Chip. I'm just saying, you know, work with them. Work with them. Now, if push comes to shove, whatever you gotta do, what you gotta do, but don't put on them. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I'm saying that's something that I've changed with myself, and that's why I credit my assistant coaches because it comes to that point where you're like, okay, it doesn't mean they gotta play, but we're gonna try to do right by every kid that we're entrusted with. And a couple of the comments I'll see, and my uncle Sam, he's saying very passionate coach. I got the passion from him. Anybody who's played basketball with him knows how loud he is. Well, that's my guy.
All right. There we go. I think we haven't issues, people. There we go. I think we're back.
Yeah, I got you. Good. You good, Cephas?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'm good. I hear you.
Yeah, you were saying something about Sam.
No, he was saying that I was intense. I was saying I got it from him. He's my uncle, and he's pretty intense when he plays basketball.
Yeah. Well, Coach, listen, Coach Hassan, man, I really appreciate you, bro. You know that. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on the show, and chat with us, whatnot, and just kick it about the recruiting process and kick it with us about coaching and relating to the kid. I think this was picked up some nuggets that everybody that we can definitely coming on the show, man, and I'm definitely looking to have you back for sure.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me, and best of luck to your two boys starting their fall semester at Wayne State. I know their football season might be delayed, but getting it in at the next level, and not looking forward to playing against your other son next year. Like I said, he was a pit bull. He's only going to be better next year, but
Yeah.
I do hope that we do get to play. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you in action again, you and your squad, man. I always enjoy watching you guys. Very entertaining, for sure.
appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. We'll talk soon.
Hey, no problem, man. I see you. That was Coach Hassan, ladies and gentlemen. Real good guy, really a good guy. Listen, 500 subscribers is what we're trying to shoot for. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Those I've seen some new people in the chat. Make sure you subscribe because I got more interviews that'll be coming up. We go live every Friday, and I typically post a video on Monday. But just wanted to give my little take on Rashad, on his comment about being basketball. It's a sport where you can express yourself. It's when you have players, when you have special players. When I mean special players, I'm talking about 25, a player that can give you 25, 30 points, that have that ability to do that. When you have players like that, it is very essential that you ensure that they get comfortable along with your coaching regimen of, correcting, coaching up and things like that, getting after them. But make sure that they're comfortable and make sure that they're able to express themselves in a controlled situation, but make sure that they're able to play like they know that they can play, and don't hold them back. I've seen that, I had that done to me. I've witnessed it. And so it's very important because what you do is that you're destroying the confidence, of a player possibly. And until you're confusing them. Let them be themselves, right? Let them be themselves. Let them give you that boost, because the essence of coaching is not about your plays. It's not about, it's not about how good your play look. It's not about how good your team look, in their jerseys or whatever the case is. But it's more so about a player playing up to their potential. The essence of coaching is when a player plays up to their potential. If the player's not playing up to their potential, you're not coaching. I'm sorry to say that. Rashad said, hey, if you're not allowing a player to express themselves in that way and you're holding them back, then you shouldn't be coaching. I know there's a method to the madness in some instances, and my sons have been fortunate enough to come across some pretty good coaches and learn a lot from. But at the end of the day, it bothers me though when I see, coaches, playing the politics game, not playing the best player, or they're playing the upperclassmen because they've waited instead of putting the best player on the floor. That's not good, and that's how you get the community barking at you and meeting after games. Saying how much they don't like you and how much they want you out, and I know that a lot of coaches say, I don't really care what you say. I don't really care about what people say about me. That's not true. That's only true to a certain degree because, it feels good when people like you. It feels good when people say good things about you. Let's just face it. You may be able to deal with people talking negatively about you and you're able to move on with life, but it's not good when you have a whole community that's rooting against you, and I know you can't make everybody happy. And I'm specifically talking about, those that know the sport, those that have played the sport, those that know the game, and things like that. I think we're moving in a different dispensation of play. Don't hold these guys back. Let them express themselves. Let them be who they are. All right. And then at that point, it only makes you look, spectacular in a sense, because, it's a boost to your program. Here's what happens when you allow, I'm going to get out of here, but here's what happens when you allow a player to be comfortable and allow them to express themselves. What happens is that it end up drawing other players, right? It ends up drawing other players. A lot of coaches be like, how does these schools keep getting these great players? They transfer them. They driving from Detroit all the way out to, to Troy or whatever the case is. Like they're willing to make that drive or vice versa. Right. The reason why they're doing that is because, people want to win, people want to be connected, and they want their child to be able to be themselves and be able to play. And so if you are one of them coaches and you got that stigma, that reputation about you that, hey, I coach these guys up and I let them play and whatnot, then you're gonna have a pretty good program and you're gonna get more players because that's what happens. But your team get recognized, your coaching career goes up and things like that. And then then what happens is here's the kicker. Now you put yourself in a position but you definitely put yourself in the driver's seat, though. You put yourself in the driver's seat of recruiting when that happens. So if you want, to develop a reputation of helping kids get into school and things like that, those are the type of things that you need to do, as a coach. And I know what I'm talking about. I really do, especially when it comes down to basketball. I really know what I'm talking about. I've had coaches, say certain things to me and they're like, no. But then as the season progressed, they end up doing what I was telling them to do initially. And then it turns out as a different result. So don't be in a situation where you're prideful. I don't care how long you've been coaching or whatnot. There's always room for opportunity. There's always room where you can grow as a coach. But allow the expression to take place. It only makes it better for you. All right, guys, I'm out. All right, it's Friday. Go enjoy your Friday. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. We'll see you next week.